How's it going, everybody, and welcome to another episode of No Excuses on BTWProductions.com. Unfortunately, on archive again because Fern is off training dogs again. With your two show hosts this week are still.
And Wallace L. And it feels strange not having Fern in there. But, yep, he's off, doing more dog stuff, but he'll be back next week. At least that's the theory, as far as I understand it. Yeah, so we'll be doing our best to fill in, and hopefully it will go better than it did last week, which, as of the time of recording, I still haven't gotten up anywhere because it takes a long time for my toaster of a computer to actually process these files, and I haven't set aside enough time to do it. But I'll get there. I'll get there in the end. I promise.
Yep.
But first of all, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us an email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com or by following us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw.
Indeed. And we actually have news this week. Unlike last week, which had absolutely nothing, we have a few, at least, announcements to talk about this week, and we can quickly go over the Game Show Award winners if we think we have time. So, yeah, so let's start with weeks, I think. Fall, how was your week?
Not really much to talk about this week either. I can't really think of anything that I did in particular that was especially stupendous. This week's raiding was pretty much a total wash. We did nothing but wipe for hours and hours and hours on heroic Odin. Like the valley in acquirable gear versus difficulty of content still to conquer is really getting stuck in our teeth. Like we did Emerald Nightmare Heroic, which is of course the highest flex difficulty in Emerald Nightmare, and we went through it like a hot knife through butter in very little time without any wipes of any kind. Just completely tore the whole thing apart, got a whole bunch of new personal best times on killing the bosses, and then we went to Heroic Trial of Valor and got squashed repeatedly. Hours and hours and hours. We've made a little bit of progress, but we haven't really managed to get Odin down. And the annoying thing is that there's no way for us to get better gear really, except to clear Heroic Trial of Valor or Mythic Emerald Nightmare. And for what people are saying, we're a little bit under geared for Trial of Valor in some respects, and have no way of fixing that without using copious amounts of mythics or whatever. So yeah, it's an awkward position to be in. I don't know why they've made Trial of Valor's normal gear worse than Emerald Nightmare Heroic gear, considering it's harder than Emerald Nightmare Heroic, I would say, in a lot of respects. But they have, and so now there's really no way for us to improve. We just have to get better at the fights and try and fill in whatever gaps there are in our gear. I don't think that we're performing terribly bad or anything. We're just not good enough. Not good enough.
Get good, bro.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. Getting good. But yeah, it's frustrating, but there's nothing to do about that but mush on. I don't think that there's really much else to talk about. I did not do very much this week. I spent most of my time wigging out about my research again, which is still going poorly. I seem to have slipped into a pattern of the first half of the week is a disaster and everything goes wrong, and I spend the last part of the week desperately trying to get things to work in what little time I have left. So yeah, trying to think if I've got anything more to talk about, and I don't really. There's not really been a huge amount taking place around here. Haven't even had any big earthquakes since the last one. But yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to talk about.
Alright. Well, I guess we'll do my week. My week is not terribly interesting, but stuff did happen. So the big thing this week was I had been between insurance this past year until earlier this year. So before that, I couldn't really go to the dentist because going to the dentist with no dental insurance is, you don't do that. So I finally got my insurance settled earlier this year, but put off setting up a dental appointment for a long time, and finally got to it, and I had it this week. So it turns out if you know there's problems with your teeth, and you can feel something's wrong, you need to go to the dentist right away. You don't need to wait.
Yeah.
I've had little damages at the top of both of my molars, and you don't want to let that sit for very long.
Yep. Yep. You don't want to. If you lose the outer covering, the stuff that's underneath is very squishy, and lots of various microorganisms like to eat it. It's pretty delectable. So yeah, you should not delay that kind of thing. I say this while actively delaying my own trip to the dentist because, well, I am staggeringly poor and incredibly busy, so I'm not practicing what I preach on that account. However, I will have to before too long, or things will get very bad.
Yeah, so that damage that was done to both of my molars on the far left and the far right side, I'd got my wisdom teeth pulled about 3 years ago, and since then, a little bit of a crack between the gum and the tooth itself had appeared. There was a clear gap there, and it didn't hurt. It wasn't doing anything, so I just ignored it and put off my dental appointment until I could get my insurance together, and then put it at the end of the year after I did. And they're like, yeah, we're going to have to completely cut out most of the tooth, and we're going to have to put a cap on there. You don't got to get a root canal, but we're going to have to crown both of those teeth completely. So I got to go do that on Monday.
Yeah. Well, it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, so I'll have tooth fake teeth soon. So yeah, don't put off your dental appointments. The rest of it was just some of your fillings need a bit of fixing. You've done a little bit of damage, and I need a couple fixes. I generally brush and floss my teeth fairly well. I'm not entirely sure how the tops of my teeth on the molars got hit. I might not have brushed in that particular spot very well or something because of where it is in the back of my mouth. But yeah, it's not fun. So I'll be Novocained up all week. They're trying to do it as quickly as possible before the damage gets even worse, while I don't need a root canal still. So they're rushing this. They're like, yeah, you need to come in like Monday. And I had this done on Friday.
At least you don't. At least you've got your insurance sorted out now. You're not going to get hit with an enormous bill or anything.
No, it's still expensive though. I had to pull it out of savings. This is why I have a savings account that I don't touch. It's still costing me about $850 to get the fillings fixed and the crowns, even with dental insurance.
Good grief!
So,
is that what your residuals are like?
yeah, and I have better dental insurance than most do. I went out of my way to get at least the mid-tier package on dental, and most people just get with whatever comes in your plan dental insurance, which is not great. Or Obamacare's, which is even worse and basically non-existent. If I did not have insurance, it would cost me about $4,500.
That's not good.
So get your insurance, kids. Go to your dentist.
Yeah, I don't have insurance, but there is a certain amount of up to a certain point in I think you can up to a certain amount or something. There is subsidies provided by the university as part of the student services that we pay a levy for, but because I'm a long-term perma student, I've already hit the cap on the amount of student services fees I have to pay, because you don't ever pay more than I think 7 years worth of student services levies in a lifetime, and I've been at university way longer than that, so it's pure subsidy for me. So up to a point, you can get that stuff subsidized.
I see. Well, that's helpful, I guess. But yeah, I can understand looking at some of these medical bills that are starting to come in, why people are so touchy about health insurance and how it can be a pain in the butt and how people would like to pay less for it. Because in the USA, healthcare is a ripoff for what you have to pay for it. It really, truly is. They overcharge ridiculous amounts in the U.S. I get why Obamacare would be very enticing, but Obamacare is not how you fix the problem at all. And in fact, Obamacare is what's caused a lot of the problems with my insurance shuffling around. So I understand why people are mad, but I wish I could tell people this is not how we fix it.
Well,
because that has caused so many insurance shuffle shenanigans this year. It's driving me nuts.
The guy who's in the cabinet position for the HHS has a pretty decent plan on how to fix some of those issues while still keeping provisions for people who can't afford healthcare. So hopefully the plan that they devise for the next administration will be a little bit less catastrophic to the economy.
I mean, the simple solution is 20 seconds of lab time per customer does not need to cost $2,000 if
Well,
you
I mean
go in with an X-ray.
this is just what happens when somebody is guaranteed to have insurance available. Like if you know that they can pay a certain amount because they have an insurance policy, well, you're going to charge as much as possible to get as much money out of the insurance company as possible. I mean, anybody who's had to try and get their car fixed knows this. That, you know, if you say you've got insurance, mysteriously the work that needs to be done on your car will become a lot more expensive than it would be if you don't, because they know that they can jerk the insurance companies around.
Yeah, it's assured income, and if you really want to dig deep, it's a subsection of monopoly theory. But we're not an econ class, so I guess we don't need to dwell on that too much. So yeah, that's not going to be fun. So I may be talking funny next week because I have to get the permacaps done either the day of the show or the day before. I'm not sure if it's Friday or Saturday. So next week I may sound a little funny.
We should have a Fern back by then, with her freshly qualified at the training of the dogs. So it'll be
Dogging.
interesting. Yes, he'll be a professional dog person.
So yeah, that won't be fun. What else did I do this week? It's been a fairly crazy 2 weeks at work again. I've been really swamped getting home late. I worked till 11 o'clock one day this week, and after I got back from the dentist, I got hit by a monster headache. One of the worst headaches I've ever had, stuck behind one of my eyes. I've gone to the doctor about these a few times, but they're like, there's nothing we can do to fix it. I used to know what they were called, but I forgot. There's like nothing we could really do about it. It just happens to some people, and it only comes like once in a blue moon, so it's not chronic. I just had to go lay down for a whole day. I slept for 20 hours.
Does it make you see sparkles and funny colours?
No, but it feels like there's a little demon behind my eyeball stabbing it.
Yeah, I think that most people who get migraines experience it in that way, but there are more extreme versions of it as well, where you do start to see things.
Yeah, the default reaction is to jam my head into something dark and cold and wet and just leave it there for 3 hours until it starts to go away. They're very short and they're very infrequent, but they seem to come in groups, so I'm dreading having another one, because it will almost incapacitate me for as long as it's going. I'm basically useless.
Yeah, they're not terribly fun.
No. It was quite bad. So I was out all of Friday, so I have to make... The big problem here is not the headache itself, because that's out of my control. The problem is, during the hectic work cycle when I'm trying to get Christmas overtime pay, I missed a whole day of work because of dentist and random super headache. So I have to make up an entire day next week after I was already on a workload that was so ridiculous I had to stay till 11 the day before. So next week is going to be busy. That's not going to be fun. I'm going to be exhausted and talking like a drunk donkey next week.
Yep, it's getting to the silly season now. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I would like to go and visit my family, but because I didn't last year, and I'll try and clear time for that, but I don't know to what extent I'm going to be able to. I was expecting to get all of my experimental work done before Christmas, but while I was very optimistic about that, it's starting to look more and more dubious that I can actually follow through, simply because I've had so many issues run up.
It is indeed beginning to look a lot like Christmas, so that may not be a good deadline. Oh, bad jokes are bad. Okay, what else in an attempt to talk a little bit before we jump right into the announcements? So one iOS game I've been mentioning on and off that I've been stuck playing, because it's the perfect game just to turn on and punch a few buttons on. It's a terrible game. I will not sell this game to anybody when I describe it at all, because it's a Korean grind fest. And it's a game one of my friends showed to me, and he got me to play it, and it's called Summoner's War. And it's a really bad game objectively. There's nothing good about this game. You boot it up, and you get scrolls by doing dungeons, and the dungeon difficulty gets harder, so you need bigger and better monsters, and you need bigger and better equipment, which is just runes for the monsters to get through the dungeons. But the way you get the monsters is through random scrolls. There's no way to select the monster to get except through fusion, and there's only like 13 fusion monsters, and only one of those is really worth getting. So you're relying on RNG to get you the monster you want. So you have to go get these scrolls, and the dungeons will give you the low or high tier scrolls, and the high tier scrolls are super rare. And you open these things, and you get a monster. And if the monster is good, you keep the monster, and you use that monster to feed to other monsters to make your good monster strong. And you just keep opening scrolls until you get a really good monster. And the objective is to get a team of good monsters and some backup monsters because type matters like Pokemon. So you go around, you grind these dudes up, and you grind other monsters up. And once you've ground the monsters you need to feed them up, you can level up the right monsters. It's a very monster heavy game and a lot of grinding. You grind the monster you want to max level, and then you grind a whole bunch of other monsters to its level that you don't want, and then you sacrifice those monsters to the monster you want to keep, and the monster you want to keep levels up. And the grinding process takes a long time.
Still sounds
Lots
better
of
than the WoW legendary system.
Yeah. So it's not a game I could sell to anybody, but I don't have a problem with grindy games at all. So I've been playing this game on and off, and I've had some fun with it. So if you like Korean grinders, it's interesting to see what monsters are out there. I mean, the monsters in the game are pretty cool. So if you don't mind spending, 30 hours grinding for one monster on and off, go for it. But you're going to be there a while. So that's the big video game I've been playing because I've been at work. Haven't really watched any anime, haven't really done anything else. I've been just working and playing Summoner's War. So yeah, that's my week, I think.
Right, I just goofed. I'm trying to play WoW, and I keep doing dumb things. I hate these Murloc quests. They're really annoying.
Oh dear. So I guess we don't really need to go to a break since this will probably be another shortish show. So we'll skip the break this week, and we'll go to. Want to do one of yours first, so we don't sound like it's me doing one thing and you doing a bunch of things?
Sure. Hold on. I didn't have a particular starting place in mind. That's the thing. Let's see. We'll start with. This is why I was hoping you were going to start. Give me a chance to organise my thoughts.
Oh dear. Why don't we start with... So, some stuff happened at the Game Awards.
Well, the Game Awards are always the Game Awards. They're just
Game
Awards. This is sort of a newer way of doing it, though. I think they since 2014 they've moved on to the new way of doing it. These are the ones that used to be the Spike VGAs.
Oh yeah. So, do we want to talk about the trailers, or do we want to go over the winners first?
We might as well just quickly flip through the winners. I managed to pick most of them on the show when we discussed the nominees, but...
I think we all did. We all kind of called the same thing.
No, I was the one who went to bat for Doom when nobody else believed me.
Oh, dearie me. So, okay, since Volsko's facing WoW, I got him up here. So, Game of the Year, Overwatch, I think we called it.
Yeah, well, I mean... I feel like that Overwatch is sort of like, it's very generic as far as whether or not it deserves to receive any kind of award. I don't think that it particularly excels at any one thing, but it's generally speaking a fairly polished piece of software. So
yeah.
you can't easily say, oh, you can't make it Game of the Year because it's bad at X, because it's not really bad at anything. I just don't think it disappoints me that that's the Game of the Year, because it means that we had a crappy year in games, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying Mario is the best character instead of like Peach or Luigi or something in Super Mario Brothers 2 because he's the jack of all stats that just happens to do everything pretty good.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's flip through quickly. Best game direction, Blizzard. I assume they mean that mostly by artistic direction. I didn't really watch the awards. So.
No, I didn't either because I was in the middle of an experiment. But
I was at work, so
yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's a case of, well, that's not really. I'm not really impressed by that because everything that you see in the likes of Overwatch is just rehashed models from the cancelled Titan project, pretty much. And honestly, it's not particularly original as far as art styles go for what you see in Overwatch, and certainly what you see in Legion isn't particularly original. But it's polished. I'll grant it that. It's got a cohesive style that makes sense and looks good and will age well, probably. And I think that's historically, artistically, what Blizzard has always been best at. Developing art styles for games that don't look dated super quickly.
Yeah, and I don't really like when people say it has a very Pixar-esque style to it. I think it's only Pixar-esque in its presentation, especially in its marketing. But I mean, as far as presentation and marketing and the in-game cinematic stuff goes, that's still really cool. And we haven't really seen CG, cartoony stuff like that in the game world yet. So I can get that. I can get game direction, revamping the Team Fortress 2 formula to be different enough and working on it like that. I can get Hearthstone and some of the stuff they've done, even though it's been a colossal disaster. It's been a good experiment that needs to be done. Legion, I don't know how they got that. That should take all the points away just on Legion itself for game direction. Well, everything was a terrible decision.
Well, as far as the art goes, like I think that Suramar City is very nice artistically. Like, there's a lot of things in there to like.
I think Suramar's good on paper. I just think that paper got a bit too long.
It's still going, you know. Like, I'm not done yet with Suramar. I'm still going. It just drags on and on and on. We've managed to, where I am up to in the storyline, and I'm a bit behind because I stopped doing it for several weeks, is we've managed to take over, like, the upper level of part of the city at this point. But, yeah, it's, I don't know, like, there's a, I feel like Legion will be, if they continue developing well and are capable of, you know, learning lessons about things, I think that Legion will be one of the parents of a good expansion, because there are things in it that are good. It's just that a lot of it isn't.
The worry with that is, we said some of those things with Draenor, like there's a lot of bad things here they could learn from, and maybe the next expansion will be better, and then Legion happened. So
I just realised I didn't turn off my game sound, so everybody's gonna have Brewmaster sounds over top of the whatchamacallit, the audio track. Hopefully it won't be too loud.
Professionalism.
Well, I don't normally do this. This is my job. This is what we keep Fern around for, because he's got his stuff together. He knows what he's doing. We're just the plebs that show up and talk about stuff.
Oh dear. Okay, so best narrative, Uncharted 4. I could almost have defended Firewatch on this one. And this is about all I could defend Firewatch on.
I feel like it's... I guess I don't know how good Uncharted 4 is. Like, sometimes you get a good Hollywood movie. Likewise, sometimes you get a good Uncharted game. Like, they're not... I don't think that it really means all that much. Like, it's sort of the populist choice. More people are going to play Uncharted than will play Firewatch, period, end.
Yeah, I mean, Uncharted 1 was good when it came out. It was really good when it came out. And that gave us Uncharted 2, which was a great game. And by then, we'd gotten into the groove of there's going to be a billion of these. Uncharted 3 came out, and it was pretty good.
The fourth one sort of sounds based on the name like it's going to be like a Terminal one.
Yeah, I haven't played the fourth one. I don't know when or if I'll play it. Uncharted is like, oh yeah, that's a good game franchise. That's a $60 launch price game franchise, though, that has no niche appeal to me at all, so I think I'll let that one sit on the shelf for a while, and eventually get it for free through PlayStation Plus. Like, that's what I did with all the other ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're sort of flagship titles for Sony, so I don't know. It's not really a surprise. I didn't play Firewatch either, so I don't really know if it was any good narratively.
Yeah, strictly speaking, narrative, yeah. Plot, no. Narrative, yes. But, yeah. Let's see. Best art direction, the indie baby won this one, Inside.
Yeah, well, I honestly expected Inside to take out pretty much every category it got nominated in.
Yeah, its name will be coming back up at least one more time in this list, if I remember right.
Because
Yeah.
it's the one that everybody decided to like this season, like Undertale was previously, for instance. Like,
Yeah,
oh, it's
it's
just unacceptable to not like it if you play indie games at all. Like that's sort of artificial peer pressure based liking of something, that hype engine.
yeah. Okay, let's see. Best music sound design. Doom won this one.
Yep, that's what I thought would be the case. That's why I said last week I think that Doom has a good chance of it because they were creating an atmosphere which was nostalgic, which gives you get a lot of points out of that basically, and honestly that type of thing is a bit more novel, oddly enough, considering Doom was like the most cloned game of the 90s. That type of thing is a bit more novel these days because it's rare to see a game of the sort that is just about the visceral action as opposed to, military shooters and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
So
it's got,
I don't.
it's a bit more edgy than the likes of Overwatch, which is all, people say Pixar because it's got a Pixar feel to it, because it feels like a family game sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
it's
don't think.
light-hearted and it's not serious, so to speak.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention to much of the music in games this year at all, and I don't even think I picked one for this category because I didn't know any of the music.
Well, it's not just about
So,
music; it's about sound direction,
well, that's who.
which, as far as video games, is far more important than music in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah. I'm really bad at picking out sound design and sound effects in games. I have the worst ear for it of all time. So I usually play with the WoW sound off all the time, unless I need it for something. For instance, I just it's not something that clicks with me. Only voice acting really clicks with me in games, and really good music. So I have a terrible ear for that stuff. Let's see. Best performance. North as Nathan Drake. So okay.
That's like it's like picking North as most northerly cardinal direction sort of thing. Like every time that they do this award, Nolan North gets it.
I was really hoping Troy Baker would get it, just because I like Troy Baker.
I suppose Troy Baker gets it sometimes as well, but they basically are taking turns.
Yeah, I just think Troy Baker's better of the two that are always going to win it.
The thing
Uh,
is, I don't think that that's really fair. Like there have to be other voice actors that are just not getting a look in
Crispin
because
Freeman played the gorilla in Overwatch. He should be on this list.
I feel like it I just see the same nominees all the time. Like seeing, oh, Nolan North won it. It's like you're not actually going to excite anybody with that announcement. Like there's no reason to cheer for that.
I mean, if it was Crispin Freeman, you could have him show up and do his Alucard voice before he did his Winston voice, and he could do awesomely hammy performances. That guy is the best ham actor of all time. We need more Crispin Freeman. As long as Bryce Papenbrook doesn't ever get the award,
Does
I
he
think
do
we're
any
okay.
video game work?
I think he does a little bit, but he's mostly anime. He stands in for his dad. I forgot what his dad's name was, but he used to be in a lot of stuff.
Oh,
So yeah,
I'm sure that there are voice actors who do localization stuff who are good, and just aren't getting a turn. Like
yeah, because
that's
Japan
my
doesn't
feeling on it.
exist.
I mean, I just find it hard to believe that Nolan North and Troy Baker are really the best that that the world has to offer. I mean, really, that's the best. That's all that there is. I can't accept it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh right, Bryce Papenbrook played Asbel in Tales of Grace is another reason to hate him.
Oh, come on, Asbel doesn't know any better.
Bryce Papenbrook does though. He's the new Theodore voice in Persona Q. I hate him for that.
Oh dear.
Only good role was Nagito. His only good role. Oh dear. So I had to get my weekly I hate Bryce Papenbrook out of the way.
It's a strange grudge to carry.
Don't want to hear him in Animu anymore. I'm sick of it. Okay. Games for Impact. This thing, right. I'm going to skip that one. Although, I think the game that won was made by Christian developers, which is something worth mentioning.
The what now?
Uh,
What game was it?
that Dragon Cancer.
Oh right, yeah. There was a lot. The thing is, I thought that this game was years old.
I did too.
Like I don't know if they put it in like early access or something, but I was under the impression that this came out years ago, like literally years ago. Because I remember hearing a whole bunch of people talking about how moving and touching it was and all this years ago.
Yeah, I think the Kickstarter thing went on years ago, and it got a whole lot of media buzz.
But the people
And the buzz,
that were commenting on the matter were commenting from the context of having played through the thing.
yeah, I don't know. So yeah, the only real interesting thing is, a Christian won something that never happens anymore in the game media. Oh
Well, I
dear.
mean, if you're in the entertainment industry, you pretty much have to keep quiet about that kind of thing, or you'll get blackballed.
Yeah. Okay, best indie game. I'll give you one guess, and the first one doesn't count. Inside one.
Uh,
So yeah, it's the indie baby this year.
I mean, I
It
mean, I've heard that it's good, but I guess I often don't find those things fun per se.
Yeah, it has to fit a real tight niche for me to play it and really enjoy it. With Undertale, a lot of the fan stuff that came out was pretty cool, especially a lot of the fan music, but I didn't really enjoy the game itself. Like, Undertale as a game did nothing for me,
Yeah,
but
people adored it though, so they must they must have something going for it.
well, we're always wrong. So, especially because we agree on this point, we're horribly wrong.
Like most of the music is just cribbed straight out of Homestuck.
Yeah, some of Homestuck soundtrack I did like. So, although I was really picky about that one, it was really really hit or miss with me. But some of it was really good. Let's see. Game we didn't really talk about this one. Res Infinite one,
Well,
but
it ain't better.
yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, VR we don't have a lot to talk about there because we don't play VR, and we probably, honestly, I don't think any of us ever will.
Like the concept behind Res when it came out in like 2000 or whatever was to be sort of a sensory experience.
Yeah,
That was the design brief, and there really aren't any other games designed for that express purpose.
yeah. So I never played Res. I have Res, but I never played it.
I had the demo. It was on a demo disc that everybody had.
Okay, maybe that's what I have. I might have the demo disc.
But it was one of those games that sort of disappeared. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness! I just went and teleported myself back to the temple. I didn't even intend to do that. I'm bad at this game. I'm bad at this game while doing a show.
Oh dear. So, best mobile handheld game. You get another first guess, and it doesn't count.
I can't even remember what the contestants were, what the nominees were.
Severed, Monster Hunter Generations, Fire Emblem Fates, Clash Royale, and Pokemon Go.
Lol.
Yeah. So, guess which one won? Pokemon Go.
Yeah, it's not even a game. Like I've gotten more and more. I've developed more and more animus towards this game. Not least because I can't play it, because it stopped working with my phone, and apparently the only cure to that is to delete all of your progress. Which, no, thank you. But I've developed a lot of animosity towards it because it's not a game, and I don't understand how people treat it like one. Like, not just not just talking about it as a game, but they quote unquote play it, even though there's no real playing to be done, because there's no scoring of any sort. That you can't win, you can't even be doing well. It's not possible to be meaningfully better at it than anybody else. Like, it's a non-game. It is just a toy.
Well, you can play with a toy. It's a social toy, really.
You can play with
your
a toy,
friends.
but you cannot play a toy. A toy
I
by
don't
itself is not a game. You can't compete at a toy. You can't win at a toy. You can't
I
lose
don't
at a
know.
toy.
I don't know about that.
You
Me and
can't be
my
better
friends
at a
with our
toy.
Legos. Some people are clearly better at Legos than other people.
Well, people can be better at Legos, but that's the same thing as being better at sculpting or better at drawing. Like neither of those things are games per se, unless you invent rules to make them games. But I feel like Pokemon Go has failed at the fundamentals of being a game because they haven't put in any way to meaningfully compete with people, any way to win. Like Ingress goes that extra level and becomes a game by means of the fact that you can control territory, you can use your strategic control of territory to hedge other people out of territory, and you can gain points by doing so to increase the amount of supremacy that your side has over a given area. And they hold discrete competitions where you have to accomplish certain things within the time of a particular event or whatever. Like they have properly gamified it, so to speak. Whereas Pokemon Go doesn't have any of the fundamental constructs of a game. The only thing that you can do is catch Pokemon. And as far as battling at gyms is concerned, the only thing that does is allow you to get coins for the cash shop. Like, and you can't get anything with any prestige attached to it in the cash shop. So I don't know. I feel like it. I feel like calling it the best handheld game is like calling us like one of those soundboards the best handheld game. Like, because it's just a toy. You press a button and it does a thing. You can't be
I
good at
wouldn't
it and
go.
you can't win it.
I wouldn't go that far because it has objectives you can accomplish.
No, you can't accomplish objectives. Number one, there are no objectives to accomplish. That's not true. There are no fixed objectives. There's only grind, and it's grind without end. You can't ever win. You can't accomplish an objective because it won't make anything be over, and and furthermore, I can't remember where I was going with that, but I don't think that there are objectives. I don't think that there are.
I disagree with that. Aside from the people that want to get the achievements, which I don't really think are good objectives, what I'm talking more about is you can decide you want to go get a specific Pokemon, or even in the immediate time, you want to catch that Pokemon over there.
No,
You can
no.
do a thing.
That's not an objective because you can't do anything in the game to affect whether or not that happens. If you have incredibly bad luck, then you may simply never be able to catch a particular Pokemon, either because you never see it or because the game just rejects your efforts out of hand every time you try and catch one, and the Pokemon just flees. Like you have no effect. You cannot affect that in any way. You can roughly increase the odds, but you can't guarantee that you're ever going to do it. No matter how long you play the game, you may never see a given Pokemon. Like I'll never catch a Taurus unless I go to America. It's not possible for me.
Oh dear. Well, you could go to America, but I wouldn't come here right now. Oh dear me. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to disagree on that one.
Well,
If we
the
want
thing
to
is,
keep going.
no, let's finish this off. The thing is, the fact that we are having a disagreement about whether it is or is not a game, for me, should throw it into question whether or not it is in fact the best game, which is what it has been called.
Yeah, if we're going on the actual chosen words for the category, like earlier with narrative, I could buy that
I mean,
because
is it really the best example of a game on a handheld? If in fact you can call into question whether it is not a game, then surely you can question whether or not it is in fact the best example of a game that has occurred all year.
Yeah, I would venture to say you cannot compare the same type of experience you have while playing. If we're going with handhelds, they should honestly be separate categories because Clash Royale feels totally different than playing Fire Emblem Fates, which are both objectively games. It does not feel as personally rewarding as playing a game like Fire Emblem Fates does, and it does not feel as personally rewarding as accomplishing things in Clash Royale. Pokemon Go is the heart of everything you do is social in that game. Going and talking about it with your friends and walking around the world
But none of that is in
and
the
comparing
software.
yourself to other people. Yeah. And none of that's in the software really, aside from showing off what you've got. But
Like that's emergent gameplay created by the user. And honestly, the game provided is not at all complex. Like they've gone to no special effort to accomplish their phenomenon. It just sort of happened, and they did not prompt it, and they had no control over it.
the only interesting talk to have about that would be, is a company having intent for emergent gameplay to come, a specific type of emergent gameplay to arise from a toy, does that qualify it for a game, even if strictly speaking, the gameplay that came out of it was still made by the people?
Well, the thing is that's not the question. That's not the actual question that we're discussing, though. The question we're discussing is that the best game that there was this year? Because you can grant that it's a game and all of that, but it has to be the best in order to win the award for being the best.
Yeah, I think.
And the only thing that it actually has going for it is its launch Fortnite user count.
Yeah, the thing that makes that a bit easier is if the people decided the game, even if it was intended by Niantic, I'm not sure we can give that to the game itself still. Even if that was the intended design and we could give it the game stamp because of it, if it wasn't designed by Niantic specifically in the game itself, that this is going to be the game, and they just heavily hinted at you need to do this with the toy, I'm not sure this counts. Clash Royale for mobile, honestly, that should have won mobile. It's a great game to play on mobile. It has a whole lot of the RNG stuff that all the mobile games like, but it's still a lot of fun to play, and it does have a huge skill cap in there. You can learn and you can get better at the game.
The last thing I want to add to that is that people have dropped Pokemon Go like a hot rock.
Yeah, it's lost something like 85% of its people that picked it up in the launch month.
Yeah, and
or something like
it's
that.
because it was full of bugs. It's because it was hard to connect to the servers. It's because people felt let down by the product. It's for any number of reasons, all of them valid and all of them quite terrible. Like, the only reason to keep playing it is if you either have an obsessive compulsive desire to make numbers get bigger, which is something that most MMO players can relate to. I'm not poo-pooing that. Or alternatively because you have got people that you want to socialize with while playing the game. And that's like, you know,
or both.
To say that Pokemon Go is the best on that count would be like saying that, you know, Budweiser is the best beer because more people socialize while drinking it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think mobile and handheld should have been split anyway. But yeah, comparing it to handheld, if we're looking at objectively the best games to play here, 3 of these games should not be on here. And Fire Emblem Fates probably should have taken it.
Yeah, I've heard it's a pretty great game, even though its marketing, it's the method by which they sold the game deeply offended me. Like having to buy it 2.5 times just to get the whole story. Like that's something that I personally am very paranoid about, missing pieces of story.
Yeah, it is very obnoxious. I have not played it yet on my own. I have played pieces of it on a friend's 3DS, but the gameplay is great. And the narrative I did pick up from it looks really good, and I really want to know what happens. But I'm not buying 2.5 games. Not happening.
Yeah, I mean it's got all of the things that people love JRPGs for in it. It's got, you know, it's got a huge cast of characters. It's got all of the melodrama. It's got all of the socialization between the characters. It's got all of those things that people love JRPGs for. It's just that you tried to sell 2.5 games. Come on.
Yeah, it's incredibly money grubby, and I hope IS takes a hint and says, "Oh, wait. People got really mad at us when we did this. Maybe we should do that next time."
My concern is that people might not have. Like, I don't know, and I would like to think that lots of people think the way I do, particularly obsessive JRPG fans. But I'm concerned that there are people who are happy to just buy one of the games and play through that story and have that be enough for them.
I have heard that it's possible to do that, and I haven't heard as much backlash as I thought would be here. And this is even more concerning because the whale people, who, when they get into something, will just throw money at it. I am notorious for being this type of person. I'm not proud of it. I'm capable of saving money, which not most people are. But when I get invested in something, I will throw way too much money at one particular product for a long period of time instead of buying different
League
products.
of Legends cough.
$3,000 League of Legends account, money spent at least, have all the packs things. If you guys want to pay me $5K, I'll totally sell it to you. But you can't get that PAX TF anymore. And that game's at its peak right now. If you want my account, $5K. Ugh. Don't make me think of the half of car I could have bought with that League of Legends account. Oh dear. But yeah, it is a dirty system, and I know there are people like me that if they did get into it, they're going to go buy it. And I know Fire Emblem fans are hardcore Fire Emblem fans. I've bought every single Fire Emblem game that's come out until this one.
Well, see,
And
the thing that I thought was particularly Weasley about it, and I don't know to what extent this affects other people, but it would have affected me profoundly if I was playing it, is that the impression that I've gotten is that if you only have one game or the other game of the two base games, you always get a normal end, so to speak. It's always an imperfect end. You don't get a happy ending. You can't get a happy ending. In the
I'm
end,
steered aware
you always
spoilers because I know it will play it, so I don't know.
in the end, for the impression I've gotten, I don't know what the story is. The impression I've gotten is that you can only there is a special route which combines the two other routes, which is the only one that you can have a quote unquote happy ending in, and in the other versions of the story, you always have to make some grievous and emotional sacrifice, which can't be undone, and which mars the happiness of the ending. So it's like the true end is only accessible after you've shelled out a certain amount of money.
No. I know I'm going to get these games eventually, but it's going to be in the bargain bin. I'm not giving the developers money for this. I'm getting this from GameStop when they hit $15 or lower in the bargain bin. I got a 3DS, by the way. My sister gave me her old normal-sized one. So I do have a 3DS again. So that's a thing. So I can finally play 3DS games again.
Yeah, I just feel like there were so many great 3DS titles that could have been on the list instead of Pokemon Go, which I didn't feel like deserved to be there, and was only there because of its the launch boom, because it was a phenomenon, not because it was a good game, because it was a phenomenon. That's why it was there.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand them getting like, oh, people really like this and trying to play to the people, but I get the feeling I don't know. I honestly don't know. There's so many ways the judges could have looked at this.
Well, this is just
because of
award
the nature
shows.
of Pokemon Go.
The nature of award shows is such that this is why this discussion is why they exist. Like, they're supposed to make people angry so that they talk about them. That's the whole point. I mean, that's why clickbait sites use so many lists and things, because people have disagreements about what the contents of a list is worth, whether the list is right, that kind of thing. So
yeah,
that contention is the whole point.
So yeah, we've dwelled on this one a lot, and we need to get through like another half of the list. So let's go ahead and put Pokemon Go on the shelf, and we'll try. It has another award down here, but we'll talk specifically about that part that came up when we get to that. So let's see, best action game, Doom. From what I saw, Doom, yeah, probably deserves it. I didn't play it, but deserves it, I think.
It's one of the only games in recent years that has tried to be an action game per se.
Yeah,
Like, it's just about action. It's not about trying to tell an elaborate story. It's not about trying to create a magical world. It's not about anything except action and excitement and that sort of classic approach to gameplay, where what you really want to do is just to get the person who's playing's adrenaline to pump.
Yeah, and for people that like that type of game, from what I understand, they really like it. So I was not in that camp. That's not what I purchase when I decide when I want to buy something. That's not something that fits my niche. But other people that have played it really like it, especially the people that are really into that action junkie type of game. Yeah. So
I think that they deserve recognition for taking a really tough job, as in, to live up to the Doom name, and being mostly successful with it, managing to replicate that atmosphere to some extent.
So yeah, Doom, good job, id. Do it again. So let's see, best action adventure. Uncharted did not win. We got Dishonored 2 instead, which Dishonored 1 was fine. You really liked Dishonored 1.
I really liked Dishonored 1, but I've heard a lot of bad things about Dishonored 2, namely that it was a buggy catastrophe when it came out. Because apparently people don't finish their games before releasing them anymore.
Yeah. That little thing. But apparently that isn't a mark against you anymore, as according to the Dorito Pope anyway.
Yeah, like, I think that if you were going to win, if you were going to give if you wanted to give something to Dishonored 2, I would have given it in a category which I don't think it was entered into. I would have given it art direction, because I think that the world they have created is very detailed and impressive. The whale punk.
Yeah, whale punk. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Dishonored fan. I thought it was just a good game, but The second one's good, sure. I haven't really looked into
Well,
it
I mean,
very much because I wasn't into Dishonored 1 very much.
what I liked about it was the very coherent art direction. Like that was the reason that I liked it so much. The art direction, the gameplay I can take or leave. It's the same as any other gameplay of the type. But in terms of art direction, I felt that it was extremely good. But it wasn't even in that category, I don't think.
I don't believe so. No. Although for some reason Uncharted 4 was. Oh dear. So, moving on. We have Best Role Playing Game. Witcher 3 won, like it should have.
Obviously, Blood and
So, at
Wine.
least I got that one right.
When you have an expansion pack, beat out all of the other things in the category, you need to rethink your priorities because the expansion pack, like Blood and Wine, is an incredible expansion pack. I didn't play it because I haven't played Witcher 3 yet, but I watched my flatmate play large sections of it, and it's way more light-hearted in a lot of ways than much of The Witcher's content. It has a lot of humor in it, and it's the closest thing that I've ever seen to a happy ending in a Witcher game is in there as well. But it's a very, very well told, self-contained Witcher story with characters that you come to be very familiar with, and you sort of they're characters that feel like they have their own place in the world and their own motivations and whatnot. It's all very credibly written. Like the writing is incredible, it looks incredible, gameplay wise, it's very solid. It's a great product. If The Witcher 3 was not such a humongous, enormous, incredible magnum opus, then you could release in another world where games were a bit where the Witcher games were shorter. You could release Blood and Wine as Witcher 4, and nobody would bat an eye.
Yeah. So, Gwent 2 Electric Boogaloo won. I need to completely start a new Witcher 3 profile and just say I will not play Gwent. I will not play Gwent the whole time I'm going through that game because the tone, whatever point in the story I was at, the character relations, I forgot them all because of Gwent.
Yeah, but you're gonna collapse on your resolution as soon as it demands that you play Gwent. Like the quest pops up, oh, you should play Gwent. You're gonna fold like a cheap suit.
That's what happened during my initial playthrough that I'm still going through. I still haven't finished the game because of Gwent. It's in your quest log the whole time you play the game. Collect all the Gwent cards from town number 1. In your overall quest log, the first quest on there is collect all the Gwent cards, and it never goes away.
Need them Gwent cards, man. You need them.
Do need them Gwent cards. Oh, I need to boot that game back up at some point. I really like that game. It's a great game. If you haven't played Witcher 3 yet, go watch a YouTube summary of the first 2 games, then go buy Witcher 3 and play it.
I keep restarting the first game and making very little progress.
Yeah,
I feel like I owe it to CD Projekt Red to play all of them because they just do such sterling work. They're the only games developer in the world right now that I have a completely unmarred adoration for. Like they do their best with everything. I mean, there are others that are close, like Arxis was good, but there's that whole P4A debacle.
Yeah, Spike Chunsoft's really good. I really like what they've done. And a lot of the projects they've rescued, like the Zero Escape franchise, they rescued it.
Yeah, but occasionally they rescue a project that's just bad to begin with. So,
but yeah, I think Spike Chunsoft as a company are a bunch of good people. They do a whole lot of good stuff and try to listen to their fans without going the Blizzard listen to their fans direction, the opposite of what they're doing right now.
CD Projekt Red has that, but they also make the best games in the world, quite simply.
Yeah, as far as scale and product value muddled together, you can't beat Project Red. But yeah, they're a good company. More CD Projekt Red. Let's see. So unfortunately, we do not get any Atlas games in the next category. Makes me sad. Or Arxis games. We instead have Best Fighting Game. Guess who won? Oh wait, Street Fighter V won.
Because there are effectively no other competitors as long as Street Fighter V is on the list.
Pokken Tournament at least did something different. At least it was unique and fun to play. It was complete. It was fun to play. It was on the Wii U, unfortunately. But
which means nobody played it.
Which means nobody played it. But it was different, and it was fun to play. And I'm very sad Street Fighter V won because
Well, I think.
honestly, it's just doing what Street Fighter does. It's not new.
Well,
It's
they're
not
probably
that different.
just like, oh well, if we don't give it to Street Fighter Five, the Street Fighter fans will come for our heads. Like that's basically it, I think.
Probably because it's worse than Street Fighter 4 after you sit down with it for a while. Once the system mechanics really set in and you put yourself in the shoes that you're in now when you were in them with Street Fighter 4, you're not as happy. Now, the good news is we won't be getting Super Street Fighter 5 unless it's like some package to get all the DLC. Now, in Street Fighter V's favor, I'll say one good thing about the game. They have been consistent with putting content in the game, even after the game finished launching, because technically what we got was an early release version in February that they sold as a disc, which I will never forgive them for.
You say, oh well, they've been consistent about putting stuff in the game. Yes, they have, but they're consistently using an empty box to put bits of game in after selling you the box.
Yeah, it's just we got a bare bones product, and at least they've given us stuff and held that promise. That's
Well,
the only plus I can give them.
They,
And
their,
that's
their
stretching.
market share would go to hell if they didn't. They are desperately trying to fulfill an obligation that they have to meet, or else. I feel like
Yeah.
they don't deserve too much credit for it.
Unfortunately, it's the only thing I can give them. And I kind of like the model. I just wish we got, the July or the August version of the game, whichever one had story mode instead of the February version that was missing like 6 and 7 of the characters in story mode.
Was everybody tired of Street Fighter 4 or something that they had to push it to release completely devoid of actual content?
Oh, dude, Street Fighter 4 came out. It's just so old now.
But it's better than 5, so...
Yeah, it was just there was only so much more they could do with Street Fighter 4 because they released Ultra Street Fighter 4. They released the third update to the game, and people just didn't care anymore.
Honestly, my personal opinion is that Street Fighter 4 even looks better. Like, I don't
I
particularly
think
like the 5 aesthetic.
they went.
I
a
feel
little
like
bit
people
away
look
from
weirdly
colors.
lumpy.
Yeah, Banana Hair Ken, a lot of the character designs too. I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to some of the announcements I've got to talk about. But yeah, character models like Banana Hair Ken look really funny. They've revamped a lot of the character designs. The gameplay doesn't have that cool watercolor thing that Street Fighter 4 had, but yeah, it's just basically Street Fighter 4 was old, man.
They had a better opening song.
They did have what was Indestructible or Invincible or something?
Yeah,
It
something
was
like
really
that.
good.
But it was a song that was good enough to become a popular meme all on its own.
Yeah, it is not a bad song for some kind of weird pop rocky thing. So yeah, Street Fighter V won. I want to see the Game Awards pick an Arc System Works game. Haven't win one yet
Why is Central Fiction not on the list? I demand to know.
because nobody cares.
But it's good.
We care, so we're wrong. So nobody else cares.
But it's good.
You understand now? I know it's good. I still haven't bought it, but I know it's good. Oh, they finally put Maya in Central Fiction though. That's why I was reading Remix Heart because they put Maya in the game.
Why? What is this prejudice against anime fighters? Come on, guys.
Guilty Gear should have won last year.
Oh,
Guilty Gear won last year?
easily. I mean, we've had this discussion before. Like, I think that it is the premier example of how to do a fighting game in the world today.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest games to play, though. Unfortunately.
But
It's
even
not
if you just slam your face on the buttons, you'll still look like a badass doing it.
I like Blaze Blue a lot more for stuff like that. But yeah,
Well,
Central Fiction.
I like Blaze Blue. Like, Blaze Blue is my favorite. I love everything about it. But I wish that it looked as fabulous as Guilty Gear does.
Yeah. Oh dearie me. So. Oh, poor Blaze Blue. Okay. Best strategy game. Civ 1.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't even remember what the other options were because Civ is it hits the ground with such a thunderous roar that you can't really hear anything else over the sound.
Oh dearie me. Okay. Best sports and racing game. Forza 1. Still no Project Gotham on here. Only good racing game. And there's no Mario Kart
I
this year.
used to
Just hate-
like Ridge Racer.
Yeah, I don't remember that one. The only actual car racing game I ever liked was Project Gotham. I don't know why either. It was just really solid and put together well. But then that series died.
I was always more of a Wipeout person than a car racing person.
Oh, Wipeout. I like that game too. Me and Abo played Wipeout on PC at some point. Oh no, Vita. That's right. We got the a Vita version of one of their latest games, and he is way too good at that video game.
Yeah, it was my first PSP game was Wipeout, whatever the Wipeout was, the first Wipeout Fusion
Oh,
maybe, I
right.
can't remember. That was my first
Me,
PSP game.
me and my friends used to play across classrooms in high school.
Yeah, I used to as well, like in the lecture theatres.
Yeah, we would totally play Wipeout through the wall with each other. It was great. We would intentionally sit in the back of the class and just wait for the other person to sign on. Oh, that was awesome. Good times. Don't slack off in class, kids. Let's see. Best multiplayer, Overwatch 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is the biggest thing in multiplayer. And it's the only thing that like there's not a lot of oxygen in the room, so to speak, for multiplayer right now. Like what are the options really? Battlefield has never really taken off. Battlefield's never become a phenomenon. There's nobody cares about Call of Duty this year.
Didn't even make the nominees list, Call of Duty.
I don't did one come out this year? I can never remember what years they come out.
I
There's always
assume
one
they
every
always
year.
come out.
But yeah, no, a lot they kind of crap the bed with a lot of their fans with their space stuff. So a lot of people aren't very happy about that. And all of the oxygen in the MOBA room is consumed by LOL still. Like it's not growing at the meteoric rate that it was before, but it is sitting like a fat ugly toad on top of the genre and not moving, much like World of Warcraft did on MMOs for the longest time.
Just think about a pond. If you throw these games in relative to their impact here, all these games are like pebbles in that pond and the waves they make. Overwatch is like a mountain that has just crashed into the pond. The pond is now destroyed. The water is now completely out of the pool, and there's just a crater left where it was. That's how big of an impact it made compared to these games.
It's really distorted things around itself as well. Like, TF2 have basically abolished their previous way of doing things and have gone to a matchmaking system in order to try and compete with Overwatch, which is about the dumbest thing that you could possibly do. But they did it, and it's deeply, deeply offended my flatmate, who was a huge fan of TF2, spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours playing TF2, and he won't play it anymore because he didn't want it to change to be like Overwatch, because if he wanted to play Overwatch, he'd play Overwatch.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, and the one I avoided because we already spent the most time on it. We'll try not to dwell on it too much this time. Best family game was Pokemon Go. Other options were Skylanders, Ratchet and Clank, Lego Star Wars, Force Awakens, and Dragon Quest Builders.
Well, I don't really understand what they mean by family game to begin with, to be quite honest. Like,
social game, sure, but family's ill-defined. Does that mean you can play it with your mom and enjoy it? I mean, I play it with my aunt. But...
Well, lots of people. Well, you end up with lots of situations where families will go out walking the kids, so to speak. Like, I don't know what most kids were like, but when I was young, I used to be very reluctant to get dragged out on a family walk. But I guess this sort of alleviates that to some extent, because kids want to go out and catch Pokemon. They're eager to go outside and walk around. Like, to that extent, like, that seems like a family game. But if what you mean by family game is, the best game that happens to be rated to allow everybody in the family to play it, there has to be something better than Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go is not a quality game. It's a toy that can involve the whole family. And we've had the discussion earlier this show, but it's that whole thing about being the best in category, Is it really the best?
I think their definition of it is the best product that is presented in such a way that you could imagine a family playing this game together. I think that's what they're going for. Which game can you imagine, a brother and sister getting together and go taking the gym next to Papa Jack's with? That's what my family does. That's what me and my sister do. We go take it for Team Yellow every time we go eat at Papa Jack's.
Right. I don't know what that is, but okay.
It's a mom and pop restaurant, but yeah. So, I mean, I play it with my family, but I'm not sure that makes it a family game. I guess it does, strictly speaking.
Yeah, and I suppose that, and because of the name of that category, it implies a whole bunch of sort of ill-defined unknowns. Like, I'm willing to forgive it winning that because there are scenarios in which I can envisage it being the most effective title at that, the most effective title at gathering people in a family around it. as opposed to actually being the best game as it was supposed to be in the handheld category.
Yeah, getting a family together to play it is much easier than getting them to play something like Dragon Quest or Skylanders or even Lego Star Wars. But yeah, you can get a family together to play Pokemon Go. It's a thing that can happen. So I can see it winning this.
I've gotten the impression that the bloom is sort of gradually dropping off the Skylanders flower anyway. I have these Skylanders cards sitting on my desk because they came in a packet of 2-minute noodles that I bought.
Yeah, we see those here. I've got to summon some Cheerios or something before. Maybe it was Cocoa Puffs.
I don't know what they do, but if they're down to that, then they must be needing to work pretty hard on their promotional stuff.
Oh, I've been pulling them from like Cocoa Puffs and cereals forever. Maybe it's not Cocoa Puffs. I don't remember what they come in. I get Cocoa Puffs. It might be somebody else's cereal I steal them from and throw them away. I've never played Skylanders. Okay. Let's see. We can quickly flip through the Fan Choice Awards without talking too much about them. Esports Player of the Year, Cold Zera, whoever that is. I don't know, some Counter-Strike player. Unfortunately, Infiltration didn't win. He was the Street Fighter V guy. He's a big fighting game player, and he's a really cool dude. And he's really good, so I was hoping he would win. Yeah, he's not modern. Let's see. Esports Team of the Year, Cloud9 won. It's the only one of these teams I know.
Why Cloud9? They don't seem very cool.
I don't know. Maybe they did something and lulled
Like, realistically, regardless of whether or not they win, it always seems like people love TSM the most.
Because it used to be the only American team. Might still be. I don't know.
And it has become a guild meme to spam TSM in chat because
it's bigger than your guild. It's in every.
Well,
there's at least 3 places I know where it's spam TSM in chat.
Well, the reason why is Dwaya's reaction to it, which is frothing rage.
Yeah.
I don't know what his malfunction is, but
he has a lot of them.
I'm going to continue exploiting it for lulz. So.
Oh dear. Most anticipated game is Zelda. Okay.
Doi.
So yeah, we knew that. Best fan creation was Indral Shards of Border. Don't know what that is. Esports Game of the Year, Overwatch again.
Duh.
Yeah, and Trending Gamer. This was surprising. I thought, for sure one of the screamers like Jacksepticeye, who's a PewDiePie clone, or Angry Joe, who's been like nominated for this thing 8 times and hasn't won. But no, Boogie won. Boogie2988.
Yeah, I had him followed on Twitter, and I muted him because he didn't offend me or anything. Like, it wasn't. I didn't mute him because I hated the stuff that he was saying, but the fact that I felt like he just whined too often, like it was just his type of. When he objects to something, it comes off like somebody having a bit of a cry, and that sort of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, he's probably an angelically nice guy, but I think I can deal with somebody who gets mad easier than I can deal with somebody who, I don't like what a person said to me online, and now I'm going to have a public cry about it.
Oh, public cry. Okay, I'm about to say, how are we friends then? Okay, I don't cry in public.
But you don't. When you're upset about something, you don't go to Twitter and tell everybody.
Yeah, until you said public, I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, dear. So, we're coming to the end of this. Last thing, honorary awards. Kojima was here this year, and they gave him the award this year because the company didn't let him show up last year to get it.
Yes.
So.
And it really, he really deserves it. Like, he has become a figure who is far more beloved than practically any other figure still in the industry. Like, there just aren't that many that can compete with him on that count. Like, people know him, and people wait with bated breath for him to come out. Like, his reception at the Sony E3 thing was staggering. Like, the crowd roared. It rose up as one and screamed. Like, people love this guy. Like, with the Nintendo guy Iwata gone, like, and who else is there really? There's Reggie, I guess, but he's effectively just a representative.
Yeah, Shigeru gets a little bit, but not very much.
Well, he doesn't come out very often, and he just does the same thing over and over again. Like, he's a sort of like a cheeky leprechaun that that everybody is familiar with. But when it comes to people who are just waiting to see what he will emerge with next, Kojima takes it easily.
Yeah. So, awards, and we honestly should probably cut it and go to a break at this point if we're going to do any more topics.
I don't want to have to do all that extra editing. Can we just
You
keep
got some hard
going?
drive space? Okay, how much hard drive space you got?
Well, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going.
Okay.
I'll handle it. I'll handle it.
Okay.
Probably.
You'll handle it.
Probably.
Okay. Might have to delete some stuff on the fly. Okay. So I guess we'll do one of my topics. Okay. So PSX happened, and we got a bunch of announcements, and the Capcom Cup happened. Didn't really follow the Capcom Cup. So there are 3 big fighting game announcements that are happening. These are the big deals with this. The first one is Win Akuma. We'll start with the least interesting one first. Win Akuma in Street Fighter V. They finally are putting in Akuma on December 22nd. They have completely changed Akuma. His moveset is now radically different than he's ever had. He does not look like a Ryu and Ken ripoff.
So what? People are getting angry and happy at the same time?
Yeah, that's kind of the reaction. People are ecstatic and angry at the same time. I think one of the main Akuma players was like, I love this and hate this at the exact same time because it looks really cool what he can do now. But you have to watch the trailer to get a full understanding of what he can do. I'm not going to cover it in this, but yeah, his fireballs are very different. The way he kicks, he can like kick and float around a lot easier and do moves in the air. He's like an air combo character in Street Fighter. It's really cool. And he's got like launchers and stuff. But yeah, you can go watch the Akuma trailer if you want to see everything he can do. And we get to see the Raging Demon for the first time. Like, not just a black screen. You actually get to see flashes of what happens. They don't show you the entire thing to leave some of it mysterious still, but you get to see some of what he's doing to the opponent. You get to see him beating the crap out of him. So we get to see that. Let's see. That's about it for Akuma. So we got Win Akuma announced, and the Street Fighter community is so happy about this. He comes out on the 22nd. So, yeah, that was the first big announcement. The second big announcement, there's been a rejoining of Capcom and Marvel. They've got the contract back. The DLC is coming back. We're getting a PS4, Xbox, and PC version, and we're getting a patch for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Yeah. So that's a thing that happened. So people cheered at that. The game hasn't been patched in 3 or 4 years. It got 1 patch in its entire lifetime.
Does it badly need patching?
It got 1 patch in its entire lifetime. So yes.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Like, I don't know anything about it.
Yes, we are tired of seeing Morrigan, Doctor Doom, Virgil. We are quite sick of it.
Is that just
yes
every fight?
That's all. That is objectively the best team you can make. And it's fireball spammy and it's locked down and is not fun to watch. So yeah, we hope just Morrigan doesn't even need nerfing. She just has the best fireball in the game because she can make one come from both sides of the screen.
Right.
Otherwise, she's a terrible character. But yeah, so we're hoping for some nerfs. Let's see. And lastly, the big one. We got a new Marvel vs. Capcom game. And as much as could... It is called Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite instead of Marvel vs. Capcom 4. It is a reboot-ish type of fighting game for the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise. They're going back to the style of Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Instead of having 3 playable characters with 1 active character and 2 in the back seat that you can call in for 1 attack as an assist and then they jump back into the back row, you now have 2 characters you can play as, with 1 in the back row, 1 the active characters, and a 3rd assist character that you cannot play as, but you can call in for 1 attack as an assist. This radically changes the game because it doesn't matter if the assist character gets beat on, he'll just jump back out when the combo's over. In the previous games where it was 3-on-3, you had to call one of your potential new characters you'll play as, and they could get some of their health chunked off, and usually take increased damage if they're taking damage from the back row. So this is a big gameplay change. This is going back to Marvel vs. Capcom 1 style that did the same thing. So yeah, that's different. But the biggest thing, people cheered more for this first 8 seconds of this terrible trailer. The trailer looks awful, by the way. We'll get to that in a minute. But we mentioned how happy people were for Kojima. I've never seen a crowd so happy to see Mega Man X show up as a playable character.
I don't understand it.
Well, they had told us Mega Man was going to be in the game, or a Mega Man character was going to be in the game, and everybody wanted, on both sides of the pond, on the Pacific Ocean, wanted Mega Man X. And while Marvel and Ultimate Marvel were coming out, we're like, please give us Mega Man X. And nobody did. I wasn't in this camp, but that's what everybody was like. And we never got it. Instead, we got 0. So people were like, where's Mega Man? Where's Mega Man? Because we didn't get classic Mega Man either. They took him out. And so yeah, people were really upset there's no Mega Man. And so there's 2 big reasons. That's the first reason the Mega Man cheer was so big. The second was it's Capcom acknowledging Mega Man still exists.
So basically, they're just going to read into it stuff that isn't there, because
Yeah.
like when they re-released Darkstalkers.
Yeah. But yeah, so Mega Man X is in the game. And there was some 35-year-old guy, if you skipped about 7 seconds in the video on Max's channel that has the crowd reactions going for the trailer, this guy is screaming his head off. He sounds like a 12-year-old girl. He's so happy. The crowd was very happy to see Mega Man X. So the gameplay trailer is actually airing sometime while we're recording the show, so I can't watch it yet. But yeah. So but the cinematic trailer, oh boy, this was not a pretty trailer.
Awful. It's absolutely awful. I would have been concerned rather than happy if I was a fan and had seen this, because this thing is Bush League.
Yeah, over the screams of hype with everybody happy. So to start off, the 4 characters they showed, because they'll be revealing characters as it goes on with more launch trailers, hopefully better looking than this one. But the first 4 we got were Mega Man X, Iron Man, Captain Marvel as Miss Marvel now, and Ryu. So those are the 4 characters we got to see. And they're, especially the Mega Man X model, look like they were done on early PS3 graphics, not PS4 and Xbone.
Well, it's not. Bad. It's not even about that. This isn't merely. Oh well, it looks like early PS3. This is pre-rendered cinematic, but it looks like a graduate project from 3D art school. Like it's really plebe tier. It's not good at all. It looks ugly. It looks very, very unimpressive. Like when you develop a teaser to get people fired up, you should pull out all the stops. But this is one of the least impressive trailers I've seen in some time. Like you really should wow people, but I guess they don't need to because people are so champing at the bit for something other to play than Street Fighter 5.
It's just Marvel baby. It's Marvel Pringles and all them memes that Marvel spawned. People are just so hyped for Marvel. Marvel is a fun game to watch, until you have a game that has people playing the exact same 3 characters all the time and people kind of taper off. But, yeah, it's just because it's Marvel that people got so hyped about it and they don't care. But when you start to look at this trailer, it's one of the worst teaser trailers I've seen in a while. Even the direction of the mini narrative they got going on in the trailer is boring.
Yeah, the choreography is bad too. Like, it's just really awful.
We get 2 beam struggles between Mega Man X and Iron Man in the whole thing? Really? We couldn't have found other cool stuff to do? Miss Marvel does basically nothing. And her model
sets herself on
okay.
Fire.
Yeah. Her model's the best looking of all the characters. By far. But it makes the trailer worse that her model looks pretty good. Because you compare her to Iron Man right next to her, who looks like he's made of Lego bricks. Like, the dude looks bad. And then it looks even worse when you put her next to Mega Man, who is the worst model. There's a huge difference if you look at the Captain Marvel model and you look at the Mega Man X model. You have to go look up the trailer to know what I'm talking about, but it looks terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it must be a rush job. It's got to be a rush job. There must have been supposed to be another texture pass over top of this, because the art has no depth to it whatsoever.
Yeah, I can forgive bad choreography and bad cinematography in a teaser trailer like this, but just how bad those models look is not acceptable in a pre-rendered trailer.
Well, I mean, the issue that I see with it is that it doesn't speak well of the care that they're going to put into the project as a whole.
I'm hoping this is because they got the deal for Marvel, and they wanted to tell their fans right away because people have been mad at them about Street Fighter, and they needed something to get their fans happy with them again, so Capcom didn't get completely tanked. That's what I'm hoping. They're like, we need to make the fans happy right now. That's what I'm hoping. And they just kind of did this rush job thing because they got the deal recently. We don't know when the deal happened. We know talks have been going all year, but we're not sure when they got the deal back.
It's probably also partly that Capcom has not been having the greatest of times with PR right now.
Yeah, they've got to do something to get the fans happy. So anything to get a cheer for Capcom. But yeah, they pulled it out. They did a whole lot of goods during PSX as far as announcements go. We finally get Akuma. They showed pretty much what people wanted for Akuma. We wanted something different and cool looking, but we still wanted it to remind us of the same old Akuma, which we got. We got Ultimate Marvel coming to new systems, which was good. People wanted that. We got a new patch, which we've been asking for 3 years. So we're getting that, and we got new Marvel, which everybody is, there are no bras and panties left in the crowd. They're all thrown on stage.
Yeah, people are foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, people wanted this.
Yeah, it's you don't want to end up in Konami country, and that's where Capcom is headed without a win soon. So, like, I mean,
so, yeah.
Whenever you see one of these big events and Konami's name is heard, you cannot hear for the booing. Like, they are just universally reviled by gamers now.
Yeah, and Capcom was well on its way to that. So Marvel vs. Capcom, I'm sorry, I got the name wrong. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is what the new one's called. I think I called it Infinity or something. But yeah, so it's coming.
But we don't know very much about it at all, really. So
yeah. Oh, new character reveal. Captain America is in. But yeah. So
well,
that just happened.
Of course.
Doing the show.
I can't imagine. Like, what I expect is that the Marvel stable will have all of the key characters from the cinematic universe.
Yeah, basically at least all the Avengers and some major players.
In order for them to do this deal, they would have been forced to effectively turn it into a promotional tool for their cinematic universe. I think that would be the stipulation.
As much as I think Lady Thor looks cool when drawn, I don't want to see Lady Thor.
Well,
I hope we get
the fact
Chris
is that
Evans Thor.
Nobody wants to see Lady Thor. Like, what we're going to see is, I think, is some approximation of the cinema Thor, of the Australian guy Thor. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I forget his name too. I was trying to remember, but yeah, the dude's hot. Like, that dude's really hot. I'd be okay with him too. He might as well be a girl. He's just pretty. So yeah, I'm actually looking this up now because Chris Hemsworth. I knew it was Chris something. But yeah, that dude is beautiful.
I don't have much of an opinion on the attractiveness of guys, but pretty much all the women I know were gushing over him when the Thor movie came out.
My sister is in love with him. Absolutely in love with him. So yeah, they did the comic book Thor last time, so they'll probably go more this Thor this time. No helmet, just the armor, pretty boy face. Beautiful, beautiful man face. Looking at his picture, this boy is pretty. He can have my.
Yeah, I think that's the way it will be cut. So we're going to see, other characters like, the Hulk will be in there, Doctor Strange will be in there, all of those. Whether or not we see the Guardians of the Galaxy characters, I think is a bit more up in the air, but we might.
Well, we got them in the last game. We got Rocket Raccoon in the last game, and we got Nova in the last game.
Are they all in there?
In Marvel vs. Capcom 3, we got Nova and Rocket Raccoon. But that was before the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, before they lost the rights. So they didn't have time to stick any more in. But yeah, it was a surprise when Rocket Raccoon came out, because I remember when they announced him, everybody's like, "Who's this guy? Why do we have a raccoon instead of a bigger character?"
Well, the thing
and
is
this one they're going to be like, "Where's Rocket Raccoon?"
Yeah, everybody loves him now.
Yeah.
Like, he's easily the most popular character in that corner of the franchise, without any kind of contest.
The unfortunate thing is that this means it's very likely we won't see any X-Men, because Marvel's been trying to phase them out. Although, Inhumans has done terribly for phasing out the X-Men. X-Men had a lot of fans, and they are getting their butt kicked. And so this might
be the opportunity to cameo something new, though, because honestly, that continuity is a humongous mess right now.
Yeah, from what I understand, Marvel now is trying to rip the rights away because the fans want X-Men. We want X-Men. I'm a big X-Men fan.
They should remake Children of the Atom then.
Yeah, so they're trying to rip that away from Fox. It's probably not going to happen, but they've gone from trying to push Inhumans to just try and claw that IP away from Fox.
Like, X-Men Children of the Atom was like one of the fighting games of choice when I was in primary school for people that I knew.
Yeah, and from what I understand, it's a good fighting game. I've never played it though.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it seems to flow very well. There's a reasonable amount of subtlety to it, and there's a reasonable amount of accessibility into it. Like you can pick it up and learn a few combos without too much effort.
yeah. So yeah, that's everything that Capcom came out with. And for the record, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite will be on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. So it will not be on older consoles. So this is a
And it will
current
not be a
gen console
phone
thing.
game.
Yeah, and it will not be a phone game. So yeah, this is the real deal, folks. We're getting Marvel.
Provided that they can keep Disney on side and not offend them in any way.
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. So yeah. You had a few trailers you want to talk about. If you want to do some of them.
Okay.
Pick the ones you really want to talk about, though. I'm concerned about hard space.
Oh, no, I think I've got enough. I think I've calculated I've got enough. I'm running out of hard drive space to those who are wondering what we're talking about, and capturing video takes a lot. So, but yeah, well, I think the one that is on most people's minds, first of all, is the new Death Stranding one, which is
Babies.
possibly the most Kojima trailer I have ever seen. It's got all of that sort of like it's immaculately put together. I'm pretty sure that the guy holding the baby is Guillermo del Toro.
Oh dear.
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly what he looks like, but I think that that's him, which would make sense because he wanted very, very badly to do a project with Kojima, because like they are both the same sort of director, right? They both love enormous passion projects, and they were all set to do a thing together, and Konami pulled the plug on it and screwed them both.
I could see that. I had to pull up a picture of him. But yeah, brain surgery dude with the baby looks like Del Toro a little bit. I don't know if it's an homage or if Del Toro's on the project or what.
Well, I mean, they got Reedus to do the mocap for, the dude in the first trailer. So, I don't know. It's sort of hard to say, but yeah, and apparently recently, the Del Toro directed a 2-word tweet at Konami, which was just "F you."
Good on you, Del Toro.
He's really not pleased with them, and I think that he was doing that in a sort of an exultant attitude because of how everybody is excited for Death Stranding, despite the fact that nobody knows anything about it and nobody cares a toss about Konami except to spit on them. But yeah, the trailer is very Konami, and like it's something that one of the guys I follow on Twitter pointed out, is that if you play the old trailer and the new trailer side by side, synced up, as when the baby disappears from the hands of Reedus in the first trailer, it appears in the hands of Del Toro in the second trailer at the exact same instant. This is what I mean about the most Kojima trailer ever. This is what I mean. It doesn't get much more Kojima than that.
Oh, this is gonna be. I want to know more. I know that Kojima puts a lot of love into his games, and I know now that he doesn't have Konami sitting on his face, he's probably going to give us something at least worth talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing that we will need to wait and see is, like, is he the pure genius? Was he all of the genius behind the games that we saw before, or is he like Tim Schafer and actually needs somebody to hold the purse strings to make sure he doesn't go off project? Like, we don't really know for sure because this is the first time he doesn't have some massive corporation overseeing all of his work. I'm inclined to think that he is behind it, that he will do a good job, but I mean, I can't know that for sure. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more information about it. I mean, it's hard not to be intrigued. It's creepy though. Like, it's really creepy.
I'm a big fan of thriller and horror, proper thriller and horror.
Well, this looks like it's going to walk down a line between sort of thriller and psychological horror, with some visceral horror elements mixed in there.
And so yeah, this is right up my genres of preference.
Like
So
this is the sort of thing that when I say that it's compelling, I mean it because I hate horror. Like I don't like any of that stuff. I'm squeamish as anything. Like I have no problem with real life gore. Like I've done my share of hunting and gutting animals and whatnot. I have no problem with real life gore. Simulated gore intended to look cringy. I can't handle it all. But the despite the fact that this is 100% in my discomfort zone, I'm still completely intrigued because it's that well put together. Like they've dangled every imaginable hook in front of you to make you want to know more. It's a really real masterclass in marketing.
yeah,
Like he's done more with his two short trailers than entire marketing campaigns can accomplish for other games.
it took until this latest one to really get me on the bandwagon. The first trailer was like, okay, it's Kojima. I want to see a bit more. But with this one, and I saw how much he was really putting into this, and how cool that second trailer looked, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. I'm in. You got me, Kojima. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Metal Gear, so I only played and well, the only game of his in that series I played and liked was Revengeance, but that wasn't even him.
Yeah, it
So
wasn't really him.
so
It was platinum.
but yeah, it was Platinum Games. And although action games aren't normally up my alley, I'll play every Platinum game that comes out because they're really good.
Yeah, they're really really polished, and but it still managed to carry the thread that most of Kojima's games do in being literally prophetic.
I'll,
Like he had a character making America great again long before Donald Trump ever thought to say that.
I've built for Senator Armstrong. If you know, he wasn't warmongery and insane.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's obviously been juicing up on something. I haven't played the games, I don't know what the deal is, but that game's
He's
actually really
juicing on
really cheap.
nanobots.
Yeah, I assumed it was nano somethings, but yeah, that game's really really cheap now, so I might pick it up at some point.
It's really fun. I really enjoyed that game. I almost platinumed it, but some of the later challenges were just I did not have the time at the time to sit down and master the game that much.
Yeah. At any rate, so yeah, there's huge seismic cheer for that. Lots of people very very excited. Um, Other trailers. They showed the trailer for Last of Us 2. Lots of people very excited about that again.
That's
I'm
what's
not
pretty good.
because I was lukewarm on Last of Us. I didn't think I didn't I liked a lot of the presentation stuff, the artistic stuff, the direction. I did not like the gameplay. I felt like the gameplay was just getting in the way, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I felt
Every
like
time I
I
was faced with a
appreciate
field of
this.
zombies, I would just groan. It's like, oh, again, really? Can't I get back to finding out what happens next?
Yeah, I feel like I would have liked it better as a movie.
Yeah, I don't like that kind of movie, but like, generally speaking, I think it would have been better if they had. I don't know. I think that I would have appreciated more intricate gameplay that didn't involve you just killing a gajillion zombies or walking around a gajillion zombies. Like I felt like I didn't really have a good grasp of what the game wanted from me in a lot of ways. Like I didn't know how I was supposed to play. Like, and there were lots of like fundamental logical objections I had. Like, why not get a survival knife? What's wrong
Yeah,
with
why do I
that?
need glass shards for everything?
Like, if
Uh,
you find you just you go to one of these burned out stores which still clearly have stuff lying around, find like a hunting and fishing store, get a decent survival knife, and you won't have to make another crappy shiv ever again.
yeah.
Like, it was just that drove me up the wall. Like there's little things like that, but I mean, lots of people are
Oh,
very attached to it. A lot of people found the ending very very moving. I didn't play that far because I got really bored of killing zombies. And then that's really the thing. Like the boredom overtook my desire to see what happened next, and that was the
I did
problem.
that. Yeah, I quit halfway through as well and went and watched the rest on YouTube. Not even halfway through, and
Yeah,
I went and watched the game on YouTube.
yeah. I don't even know what happens because I didn't bother to watch the game on YouTube. But yeah, it's a lot of people were found it very engaging, and it seems like it's featuring the same characters again. Like I don't know if both characters live in the first one, but it looks like it's probably the same characters. You only see one of them from behind. But yeah, um, it's very much a teaser trailer. It's mostly singing, but yeah, a lot of people are very excited for that. other trailers. I saw the trailer for Mass Effect Andromeda. Um, it looks like garbage. To put it short,
Yeah.
not to put too fine a point on it, it looks like garbage. I don't like. I know that to me, there's a lot to make up for. Like, there's a lot to be made up for because I did not like what they did with Mass Effect 3 in the slightest. Um, but they managed to make it look really boring. It looks like No Man's Sky with a few more characters, and the tiny amount of the tiny amount of dialogue that you see between a couple of characters in some scenario. I'm not really sure what the particular scenario is. Apparently the player character wants to find somebody and he has to confront some ex-soldier warlord about information on it. The dialogue is just really poorly written. It's embarrassing to listen to, in fact. Like, this better not be the standard that we're looking at for writing going forward in that franchise, or that franchise is dead meat. Like, the first Mass Effect is one of the best self-contained action RPGs made in the West ever. But the writing that we've seen so far from Andromeda, like, the premise by itself is kind of janky because they have to insert it at a point in the continuity where it will make sense, despite, you know, the galaxy spanning apocalypse that's triggered in the third one, and they are utilizing, of course, a new character who is, you know, basically an explorer of some sort, and it just seems like you're going to be doing more of that random planetfall stuff that you typically did in the first one ad nauseum.
Yeah. They need to retcon the ending of Mass Effect 3 if they want that franchise to have any hope for the future.
Yeah, I think that they dramatically underestimated how much people liked the world, and burning it to the
Yeah,
ground was not the best move.
yeah. I hate when they do that with a universe that gets deep that you can go wiki yourself out on. I love those deep, hour-long wiki trolls you can do with universes like that. And if you just blow it up at the end, I'm like, well, no.
Like, they had this huge sort of mythos going on, like all of these ancient civilizations and ancient struggles and that kind of thing. Like, it's super easy to exploit that type of thing for more games. Like, you dig up an ancient evil or something, that type of thing. Old gods did it, but instead of doing that, they just burn it all to the ground. So we'll never find out any of that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not cool. But
good,
go on.
good world building is perhaps one of the best things you can have for a franchise. That's one of the reasons I like the Nastyverse so much. Not to talk too much about Nastyverse again, but everything that's set in the Nastyverse reveals something more about the same universe, and you can carry knowledge between installments. Even if the knowledge that isn't relevant, you can still use it to compare what's going on to what else you know will happen or is going on in that universe. And good world building is hard to do. That's why the franchises that do it well they stand out so much. And Mass Effect had a good thing going, and they just kind of bumped it. But if they're just going to blow up the universe in the end, it doesn't matter. It makes me sad because any spinoff they did, no matter what, could reveal more about the universe, and you can keep that wiki troll getting longer and better. But if you blow it up, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that they're probably going to try and go that route sooner or later. In the sense that they're going to probably look at, oh well, we've gone all the way to this other galaxy, and yet we have found here connections to the stuff that we saw and experienced in the Milky Way galaxy, and so on and so forth. Like, I expect that they will go that route, but I don't think that people wanted to see it go this way. I don't think that that's what they were after at all.
Hard retcon. That's what they need.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact is that there's only pride standing in the way of that, because what we know now is that the writing team never intended for the trilogy to end that way. It was never supposed to be this way. This was not what was supposed to happen.
You can kill Chef. That's a character and ends one part of the universe. Don't kill the universe. Never kill your whole universe if you've been relying on world building. Never, ever do that.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, getting back to the trailer in particular, since we don't know a lot about how the story will go per se, the trailer just makes it look like a whole bunch of running around and picking up lithium and killing wild monsters, and they manage, and when you see a combat sequence, I mean, it looks more or less like Mass Effect combat, but it doesn't look particularly revolutionary. It just looks like the same stuff over again. Like, not that that's bad. Like they managed to come up with a fairly refined idea of how they wanted combat to be by the time they got to the end of the series. But you're not going to sell it on that alone. Like, that's not what it's about. Like, Mass Effect introduced a lot of people to the RPG concept, and what they have delivered in the trailer makes it look very much more like just sort of an open world exploring thing with stuff to find. Like, it makes it look more Skyrim than it does Mass Effect.
Yeah.
That's what they convey by what they say and what they show. I don't know if it will actually turn out that way, but yeah, that's what it seems like to me at any rate. Yeah, I'm sort of in two minds about it, but I probably I resent them for what they did in Mass Effect 3, so I probably wouldn't play it. But yeah, it's certainly a thing. And they showed it being a thing and doing things. But yeah, other trailers, other announcements and things. Parappa the Rapper is being re-released in like 4K Super HD for the 20-year anniversary.
Kick, punch, it's all in the mind.
Yep. So yeah,
So once upon a time,
lots of people will be excited about that. Got a cult following.
once upon a time, there was a demo disc that came with every single PlayStation, and everybody that owned that demo disc played the Parappa demo to death.
Yeah, it was one of the first rhythm games that really got a lot of play in the West. So lots of people have very, very fond memories of it, and lots of people will be looking forward to that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Telltale has made another announcement as well. They have announced that they are doing a game series, much like their traditional way that they do them, centered on the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Did you say Telltale? You cut out a little bit on my end.
Yeah, Telltale.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think it seems like a good fit for them.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of a semi-contained part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, it's like they're sort of separated off by distance to a certain extent from the other characters. So they have their own sort of independent mythos. So while it's linked to the other ones, it's not like they don't meet them on the street all the time, sort of thing. So I think that it seems like a good fit, like to write a self-contained adventure which will not interfere too much with whatever canon Marvel is trying to build, but will still be compelling. Like, I think that they could probably do a good job of that.
About the only thing they could do that could bump heads with it is if they mess with the Nova Corps too much, because they kind of become a bigger deal later. But I mean, yeah, they can basically do whatever they want with that. So yeah, be cool.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I particularly wanted to look at. I don't think so, because I don't care about Halo Wars.
I like the first Halo Wars. Me and what's it called, Hollow Child, Shion, whatever you know him by now, played that game to death together on the Xbox 360. And we were good at it too.
You say you were good at it, but the fact is that almost nobody was around to compete with. So
I knew the best player in the world with that game. Played with him a lot.
There were like 3 players in the world.
There was like 10,000 people on the leaderboard, so there was a pretty good chance if once we got decent, we knew the guy. But yeah, I knew George. George was a cool dude for the best player in the world that game. His name was George. That was his Xbox Live tag. He actually got George with a J. He was a Hispanic guy that owned an auto shop.
Isn't that like Horge then or something?
No, it was Georgie Porgy, and he had Flacco and Shorty 240 as his best friends that we used to play Halo 2 with. Oh dear, good times. But yeah, ask Hollow Child about me and his adventure into Halo Wars.
Right. Well, at any rate, they showed some previews for the sequel, but I don't care because I don't care about Halo Wars at all, not even a little bit.
I mostly have memories because it was such an easy game to play, and me and Shion just played it so much, we got really good at it. So it was like, let's go beat people again.
I
We'd use the cheesiest strategies. It was really fun, just
I
because you
will
could do incredibly stupid stuff.
I will grant it. I will grant it this one thing that I thought was significant. Like, I felt like the character of the Arbiter in Halo Wars was what an Arbiter should be.
Yeah, and though there was a cool thing. The the Earth units got supers where they could call down like freeze strikes to freeze the enemy if you researched it, but the Covenant got hero units. They got one hero unit, and you could actually take active control of them and do like combos and stuff with them and special abilities instead of just having them be a generic unit with one or two push button, stim pack stuff. But the Arbiter you could actually leap in and do combos with as a character, and the Prophet could like call down laser beams and stuff on certain areas. It was really cool. I thought that was a really innovative mechanic.
Oh, I was talking about writing specifically.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's a cool arbiter.
Like, I don't just mean that he's a cool Arbiter. I think that he's the real Arbiter. Like, I think that the conception of the Arbiter as represented by the guy who basically carries the name the Arbiter throughout the main continuity, like, I think that this Arbiter is what an Arbiter is supposed to be, like a horrible war criminal that they need to dispose of, but is too useful to just execute outright. Like, I think that this is a sort of like more what you would normally expect from that universe.
Yeah, he's not nice in the story mode of the
Because
game. He like
the fact
grabs
is
people
that
by their skull and crushes them. He's not a happy person.
the fact is that the Arbiter that you see most of the time in Halo is he's kind of a hippie, really. Like, he's not what that concept is all about.
Yeah, this arbiter is very much a psychopathic brute.
Well, you can't really call him a psychopathic brute since brutes are sort of things, aren't they?
Well, not until after this one. This guy came before the brutes.
Right. But yeah, I think that that's having the sort of the central character for one of the sides actually be a horrible person, and just juxtaposing that with the fact that people have all of these sort of like stars in their eyes, rainbows and butterflies conceptions of who the Arbiter is because of the Arbiter that plays the main role in the main Halo games. Like, I think that I liked Halo Wars' Arbiter much better because he's a genuinely horrible person who deserves to be put on the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Halo to me has a lot to make up for after what they did after Halo 3 and when they retcon one of the best video game tie-in novels, Fall of Reach. If you had to pick a novel to retcon, don't retcon the one that people say is one of the best video game tie-in novels of all time. Don't do that.
Well, the fact is that
that
the fact is that they aren't thinking about whether it's good or not. That was never in question. That was never the question. The question is whether or not they can make more money off of retconning a particular entry compared to another entry, by what it opens the universe to doing. But I mean, like, my flatmate refuses to acknowledge any Halo game post like Halo 3. Like, he thinks that that's where it ended, and that everything else is just it's just somebody's fan fiction.
I agree. I'm totally on board with your roommate. I love the Halo universe a lot, but I do not like anything they've done after Halo 3. As far as I'm concerned, Chief's still floating in space, and the Ghosts of Onyx are still having their adventures. And after that, game over. Don't know what happens next. Nope. None of this crazy Forerunner stuff. No. Leave that in the background, please.
It creates so many plot holes as well. It's kind of absurd. I'm surprised that they were willing to allow their property to be mangled like that. But yeah, well. Right. Do I have anything else in particular that I want to discuss? I don't think so. Do you have any additional topics?
Nope. I was mostly focusing on the FGC stuff this week.
Alrighty then. So I guess we will set about wrapping up.
Yep. So to save the show so we don't run out of hard drive space, email topic of the week. What did you think about any of these announcements? Not y'all actually write us emails, but there you go. Okay. So hopefully we get this one up soonish. Vol might be working on the next one. I'm going to be very busy next week. I hope I'll have everything together a week after. But yeah, and I'm sorry if I sound like a drunk donkey next week because I've got Novocaine in my mouth. Well, we will see. I'll have at least 2 temporary affiliates and have to talk with those, or maybe 2 permanent ones that just got set. So
you're gonna sound like Sloth from the Goonies.
I'm not gonna sound good next week. So, oh dearie me. So sorry about that. But yeah, um, I guess you got anything
No,
for we're no set.
that's it.
All right, we're done, folks. See you next week. Sayonara. Bye bye.